Hi, my name is Aya Donasanova Owens Williamson, and I am the art teacher at Bessie Baggett Elementary School in Powder Springs, Georgia. I've been teaching now for 14 years and love what I do. One thing that I really enjoy doing is paper painting. I love to paint papers. And at one time, I would have called myself maybe a portrait artist, but I think now I'm more of like a collage, multimedia artist because I like putting all these different things together. And one thing that my kids really enjoy in my classroom as well as I enjoy is the paper painting because you can do it with the fifth graders and you can do it with the kindergartners. It's a very easy process. So I want you to sit back and relax and you may even be able to paint along with me. Just look at the process and figure out how all of this will fit into your classroom. If you'd like to paint along, some tools that you need will be some cutout pieces of, I don't have them here, some cutout pieces of cardboard, as well as some, maybe like a liquid tempera or some easy flowing acrylic paint so that you can squirt it off on the papers and kind of pull from that. But I just want you to kind of check it out and see how this all fits into your classroom. I really hope that you enjoy this and just let's do it. And now for my favorite part, and that is painting the paper. I love to paint papers. What you will need is a heavyweight stock, maybe 90-pound paper. And you also need some cutout pieces of cardboard, any size, doesn't really matter, and a pourable liquid paint. Today I will be using some tempera paint that I purchased from Hobby Lobby. Good price, good paint. Best tempera paint that I've ever purchased is from Dick Blick, however. What you do is you open up the paint and you begin squirting the paint down on the paper really fast, and it's fun. And I think with this, because this paint is so dark, I'm going to contrast that with a little white. Just a few drops here and there. And you know what I think? I think I want to try some purple as well. Let's do that. Not a whole bunch. Then you pick up your card and you begin spreading this paint from end to end of this paper. Now, this paint is ending up with some very interesting ridges in it because of the edge of my corrugated cardboard. And I'm moving towards the center of the page because I don't want to get this all over the table. Okay, now I'm having a buildup of these paints on this card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe this paint off the card with a paper towel, and then I'll continue pulling. There's so many rich colors underneath this color that's building up on top that you can just continue to pull until you end up with a very thin layer of paint. It even looks like it's stained. I kind of like how that looks, right? But then this buildup, you can do some more interesting things with the buildup too. You can take the corner of the card and just put all kinds of designs in it, and it will dry with those designs in it. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. Let's do another sheet. I think I'll do a little pink. Oh, yeah. And then I'll put down some yellow. Not a whole bunch because my sheet of paper is not really that large. And I'm going to pull that through as well. I can do this for hours. Look at that. Oh, my gosh. Look at that. Oh, now, this is a good way to teach color theory because when I mix a pink or red with a yellow, we end up with all of this delicious orange. Yes, you heard it right. I said delicious. Please don't tell me you've never looked at some paint and thought to yourself, oh my goodness, that looks delicious. I wouldn't mind tasting that. Oh, okay. I guess I'm the only one. Well, looks good to me. Same thing. I can go back in this with lines and designs with the edge of my card. Or I can just scrape all of that excess paint off. Beautiful.
Here are some self-portrait collages that were done by my fifth grade students. They started these off by painting the background using the technique that I've demonstrated for you today. It's fast, it's easy, and it was very clean. It was clean because before starting, I had each student draw a 1 inch border around the edge of the paper, and that was to keep the paint contained. So when the paint was squirted out, it was squirted out in the box that was created by the border, and they could only spread within that box, and that kept the paint off of their clothes and off of the tables. It's really fast, it was really easy, they enjoyed it, and as an extra added pop, they were allowed to put in some cases, maybe some additional colors if they lost the colors that they were working with, and even some gold or silver tempera. These are Eric Carle inspired collages done by my second graders. We initially started with just painting the papers. They didn't know what the assignment was going to be. And after the papers had been painted, we looked at the work of Eric Carle and we discussed some of the techniques that we used when we painted our own papers and kind of compared them to some of the techniques that Eric Carle used himself as well. Then I went and did a demonstration on making a bird. No pattern, no template, just making a bird based on shapes. And I let them practice doing the same thing. And then after they made that bird, I gave them a template for the rooster and the fish. And they had to cut out the pieces to create like a puzzle piece to create these collages. They enjoyed them. They enjoyed it painting the papers probably more than anything, and I think they also enjoyed being able to create and make their own animal without a template. But I wanted to try it both ways to kind of see which fit better with their own personal creative style. But most of the kids enjoyed the freedom of creating using just cutting out shapes as opposed to using a template. Other ideas. You can weave with your painted papers. You can do cutout animals using shapes like we discussed with the bird earlier. You can do still lifes, landscapes. The most interesting thing about this simple landscape is the fact that instead of cutting like we've done on the other projects that I've shown you so far, the papers were torn, which creates a very different type of visual effect to it that I love as well. So many different things, so many different techniques to try. These are only a few, and I hope this has opened up the doors to your creativity and makes you want to try some things out, try some different techniques, and see how painted paper works for you in your classroom. I think it's an awesome, awesome technique to play around with, and I believe that your kids are going to love it just as much as mine have. Now, these are samples of my own artwork that include painted paper. Some of the papers may have been bought from other places, but many of the papers were painted by myself. See, I told you that I love painted papers. Here are samples of my own artwork that include some of the painted papers that I have created. These are samples of my own work using painted papers. These are multimedia collages, which include colored pencil, acrylic paint, numerous embellishments, stamping and stenciling, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I told you that I love paper painting, and I think it's evident in my own work. I just want to thank you so much for joining me today and getting some painted paper ideas. I cannot wait to see some of the creations that you come up with. I hope that you've enjoyed this presentation, and just shoot me an email with any questions that you may have or any additional ideas that you think may help me out. Thank you again, and I hope to hear from you soon.